Hello, welcome to this video on science fair projects. My name is Dr. Radhanarayanan, and I have a PhD in analytical chemistry from Georgia Institute of Technology. This video introduces the concept of a science project for middle and high school students, as well as the different parts of a science fair project. If you enjoyed watching this video, click like, subscribe, the bell, and share so that you get notified of new videos that I post in the channel. So the question is, what is a science fair project? Science fair projects are typically assigned to middle and high school students in a science class. Basically, a science fair project involves testing a hypothesis of a scientific question, and this involves the use of the scientific method. On the right is a picture of a girl who is very enthusiastic about her science fair project and enjoying the experimental phase of the project. The steps of a scientific project involves using the scientific method. The scientific method involves many steps. The first step is making an observation in the natural world. Then it involves formulating a question based on the observation. Next, background research is conducted to gain a better understanding of the subject matter. A hypothesis is what you think is the answer to the scientific question and is a testable explanation. The hypothesis is tested by conducting an experiment or a series of experiments. The data collected from the experiments are then analyzed to determine if they support the hypothesis that was proposed. Based on the results of the data, conclusions are drawn and the overall results are presented in the science fair project. The first step of the scientific method involves making an observation or event in the natural world, and it is something that occurs without the intervention of humans. Some examples of natural phenomenon include the rise and set of the sun, the eruption of a volcano, as well as the formation of a tornado or hurricane. Once you have identified a specific phenomenon or event that occur without human intervention, the next step is to come up with a scientific question about the phenomenon. For example, come up with a question about magnetism, diffusion, electricity, evaporation, condensation, and other such phenomenon. The next step is to conduct background research on the specific topic and question you have proposed. Some examples of scientific sources that are good for background research include journal articles, science magazines, encyclopedias, and other scholarly sources. In addition, you can use school, college, or public libraries to find relevant articles and books on your topic. Doing this helps give you background information on your project, so you understand it better later on when you present your work. After conducting background research, the next step is to form a testable hypothesis for the scientific question that you have proposed. The hypothesis is an explanation for what causes the event or phenomenon in the natural world. An example is testing the effect of the type of water used on the plant growth. Now, it is time to conduct the experiment. You would have 9 pots containing fertilizer. The reason you need 9 pots is you need to test for reproducibility of the results, so you need 3 pots for each type of water. After adding fertilizer and seeds to the 9 pots, add tap water to 3 pots, add filtered water to 3 pots, and add doubly deionized water to 3 pots. Make sure all the pots have similar lighting conditions. Monitor the growth of the plants on a daily basis and note plant height, number of leaves, etc. each day. Once you have finished the data collection from the experiments, it is now time to analyze the data. The plant heights, number of leaves, etc. will be analyzed for each pot growth. You can now make direct comparisons on the plant heights and number of leaves using the 3 different watering conditions. For this set of experiments, the data can be easily organized into a table as follows. The plant height can be recorded on a daily basis for each of the pots. The same can be done for the number of leaves. Also, any other observations can be recorded. For each day, you can calculate the average plant height and the standard deviation for the 3 pots. The same can be done for the number of leaves each day. The next slide shows how to calculate the average and standard deviation. Now that you have the plant heights and number of leaves per pot each day, you can calculate the mean, which is the average of the height of the plant each day, as well as the average number of leaves per day. You can also calculate the standard deviation, which is calculated using the formula shown in the slide. The results are typically written as mean plus standard deviation. Standard deviation gives information on the amount of variance or dispersion of values compared to its mean. Once you have calculated the mean and standard deviation of the plant heights and number of leaves for the different watering conditions, you can draw conclusions on which watering condition results in the greatest height or number of leaves. You now have an answer to your hypothesis and can draw conclusions from the experimental data. Now that your science fair project is done, you can communicate the results you have obtained in a triptych which has several sections such as the title, scientific question, hypothesis, background research, materials, experimental section, analysis of the data, results, and conclusions. This introduction module outlines out the scientific method, which is used for conducting a science fair project. The scientific method involves a series of steps including observation of a phenomenon, forming a hypothesis, doing background research, designing experiments, analyzing data, drawing conclusions, and finally presenting the data. If you enjoyed watching the video, please click like, subscribe, the bell, and share to get notifications on future videos that I post in this channel.